After years of dealing with U.S. immigration, you finally have a citizenship interview date. Nervous? You're not alone. But if you know what to expect and take the time to study, you will succeed. Today, I'm going to walk you through the citizenship interview step by step, the format of the interview, questions you may be asked, and of course, what to expect on the English and Civics test. Ask Ellis has helped thousands of people prepare for their citizenship interview, and I just went through the process myself earlier this year. So, are you ready to ace this interview? Let's dive in. Let's start from the beginning. When the USCIS assigns you an interview date, it mails you an appointment notice with the date, location, and time of your citizenship interview. Be sure to show up at least half an hour before this time. Much like an airport, you have to go through security at these federal and state buildings, and sometimes you zip through, but if a bunch of people happen to show up at the same time as you, it can take a little longer. You will need your appointment notice at this point, which you will have to show security before you can proceed. Your appointment notice tells you what documents to bring to your interview, but there are a few things it doesn't mention, which I'll cover at the end of the video. After security, you will head to a waiting area where you will wait until your name is called. A USCIS officer will then take you to his or her office. I went through this recently and my name was called within 15 minutes of my appointment time, so I didn't have to wait very long, but sometimes the wait can be quite a while. There are 3 parts to the interview, but before the interview starts, the officer will likely ask you to stand up, raise your right hand, and swear to tell the truth during the interview. Then, you will take a seat and the officer will start by reviewing your Form N-400, your application for naturalization that you submitted some time ago. He or she will go through some of your answers. You may be asked questions like, what is your name and current address? Have you ever used any other names? Have you traveled since you submitted your Form N-400? If the answer is yes, you will then have to share the dates and location of your travel, and the officer will update it in the system. During this interview, you will also be asked if you want to legally change your name. If your name has changed since you submitted your application for naturalization, be sure to bring a court decree that shows proof of name change. If you've had prior arrests or any brush-ups with the law, you may be asked about those. If you've had any arrests or brush-ups with the law since you filed your Form N-400, it is best to talk to an attorney before you show up to your interview. Now, the officer will move on to the English and Civics test. Sometimes the officer will start with the English test and sometimes the Civics test. It really depends on the officer. For the English test, there is a reading portion and a writing portion. During my interview, there was a screen in front of me and a sentence appeared on it, which I had to read. Then the officer read out a sentence to me and I had to write that sentence out on a blank screen. If you get it right on the first try, you've passed this portion of the test. However, if you don't, you have 2 more chances to get it right. An officer may read and ask you to write up to 3 sentences. If you're finding this video helpful, hit the like button below and be sure to subscribe to our channel. Now, on to the Civics test. This test covers American history, geography, principles of American democracy, and so forth. The test consists of 10 questions, of which you have to get 6 correct. These 10 questions come from a bank of 100 questions which you can study in advance. So study these questions and answers, have someone quiz you, and you will be fine. Here are some examples from the list. Where is the Statue of Liberty? Why does the American flag have 50 stars? When do we celebrate Independence Day? Now, I'm not going to go into all 100 questions, but I'm going to link to the official test in the notes below. Be sure to grab it. After this, the officer will let you know if you've passed the interview or not. He will provide you with a sheet of paper with your results. My entire interview took about 20 minutes, but the time varies from person to person. Okay, now let's talk about what to bring to your interview. Be sure to take the following: your appointment notice, your green card, a state-issued ID such as a license, any valid or expired passports, and 2 2x2 style passport photos. Now, you won't find this on any list, but we've heard of officers asking for this occasionally. I wasn't asked for it, but we have heard of other people that have been asked for it. If you file for naturalization as the spouse of a U.S. citizen, you will also need to bring the following: your marriage certificate, proof of death or divorce for prior marriages of you or your spouse, and proof that your spouse is a U.S. citizen. This can be a birth certificate or a naturalization certificate, whichever one is applicable. If you've ever been arrested, be sure to bring original or certified copies of your court dispositions. You may not be asked for most of these documents, but it's best to have them handy in case the officer asks. Once you pass the interview, you'll receive a notice in the mail for your oath ceremony. To learn more about that, check this video out, and if you haven't kicked off your process yet, check the other video out. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button below, subscribe to our channel, and share it with your fellow immigrants. See you in the next video.